Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Akim, of course, call Haloyim, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachel Kudash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders, great millstone that rule and teach as well. Peace and Shalom to all the Akim out there and the elect, which consists of the men, women, and children selected to make it out of here from the coming nuclear destruction, all right? I'm the brother Zayan Allah of the DC camp coming at you with another Keep in Mind video as I like to do them. Keep in mind the Pawaryam, okay, the Pawaryam 2023. In the English, you would know it as the Purim, okay, the I am on the end of per, making it plural, okay. Purim stands for lots, okay. Keep in mind, all right, Pawaryam 2023, because the Pawaryam actually comes in tomorrow evening, okay, Friday evening, okay, and I'm gonna show you all that soon on a little calendar that I have on the computer. Now, normally you see me, for those that know, I get up and I kind of go on the board and stuff like that, and I draw it out. But this time I found, hopefully an easier way to do it. It was a little tedious to set up, but hey, it's easier to do it this way. All right. So again, going into the Pawaryam. All right. So I'm gonna read Esther the 9th chapter, the 10th chapter, and then I'm gonna go into the Apocrypha as well. Okay, because this is our history. Okay, this is our history. All right. It says the Jews destroy their enemies because we have enemies. Okay, in this story, it hits so hard for us today. It's prevalent for us today. Okay, all right, because we have enemies that are trying to what get rid of us, but in the end, through prayer, all right, through putting our trust in Yahweh Shemel Shai, we're going to what get the last laugh on our enemies. Okay, now this is Esther 9 and verse 1. Now in the 12th month, that is the month of Dar, on the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have come, Slakia, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them, though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had ruled over them that hated them. See that? See? Everything that they had planned for us actually turned on them. They wanted to destroy us, and we got a chance to destroy them. And we will in this time. Okay? All we have to do is hold out. Okay? All right? Hold out and stay faithful to Yahweh Shemel Shai to the end. Okay? All right? He that endureth unto the end, the same shall be saved. Verse 2, the Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, to lay hand on such as sought their hurt, and no man could withstand them. For the fear of them fell upon all people. All right? And all the rulers of the provinces, and the lieutenants, and the deputies, and the officers of the king helped the Jews, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout all the provinces. For this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater. Okay? Now, how did Mordecai become greater and greater? Number one, he helped the king from an assassination attempt. And it was ultimately the Lord. The scriptures say when a man's ways please the Lord. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find that. Please. Yeah, so I'm going to get it in the blue letter. Bear with me. Proverbs 16 and verse 17. It says, when a man's ways please Yahweh Shemel Shai, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. That's how Mordecai became great, Salakia. That's how Mordecai became greater and greater during the Persian rule, because he had faith in the Heavenly Father. You see? All right, and through that, the Lord was able to elevate him. All right. All right, same thing with Esther. Verse 5, thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword and slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them. And in Shushan the palace, the Jews slew and destroyed 500 men. In Par Shandatha, and Dalphon, and Aspatha, and Paratha, and Adalia, and Aridatha, and Parmashta, and Arisai, and Aridai, and Majezatha, the 10 sons of Haman, the son of Hamadatha, the enemy of the Jews, slew they, but on the spoil laid they not their hand. On that day, the number of those that were slain in Shushan the palace was brought before the king. And the king said unto Esther the queen, the Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the palace, and the 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now, what is thy petition, and it shall be granted thee? Or what is thy request further, and it shall be done? Then said Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted to the Jews which are in Shushan to do tomorrow also according unto this day's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows. See, and remember Haman or Haman, okay, he tried to have the gallows set for Mordecai, okay, and on top of that, try to have the whole nation of the Jews, all the Israelites, be destroyed. You see that? All right. He tried to set this big plot up for the nation of Israel to be destroyed. But you can't do that because the faithful, the followers of Yahweh Shemel Shah, the true believers, are going to live. And there's nothing that these people can do. All right. That's why this story, once again, like I said earlier, is prevalent to us today. Because they're trying to do all types of things. They're trying to keep us from being a nation. They've issued this DVOC, if you know what I'm talking about, this DVOC 19. You spell DVOC backwards, okay? And you know what it says. This DVOC 19, they try to push it out on the Israelites first and foremost, okay? The Israelites were the top of the list. Remember, they had commercials saying, hey, you so-called Latinos, Negroes, hey, you go get the shot, basically, with the images. They had our people taking it. Then they said our people are more susceptible of catching the disease. So you need to take it. Everything was gathered and pushed towards our people taking it. And then now you see everybody dying, right? This sudden adult death that's happening. You see? All right. They are trying to put all this on us and death upon us. But guess what? They don't know that it's going to come upon them. Okay. It says that the king commanded it so to be done, and the decree was given at Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. For the Jews that were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month Adar, and slew 300 men at Shushan. But on the prey they laid not their hand. But the other Jews that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together, and stood for their lives, and had rest from their enemies, and slew of their foes 75,000 of them. Whew! But they laid not their hands on the prey. On the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested day, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Okay? But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th thereof, and on the 15th day of the same they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day, and of sending portions one to another. See, our high holy days have a background. Okay, our high holy days have substance. These so-called holidays, holy days, okay, today, they have a pagan, aka heathen background. You see? All right? We're not supposed to follow after the heathen. Learn not the way of the heathen. We already have our high holy days to follow. You can go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, and also you can go to things like Esther, the 9th chapter that I'm reading. Okay? This was obviously a feast day that was created later on, but guess what? Nonetheless, it was still created for all us to keep. You see? And all our high holy days have meaning and they have substance. Okay? 2 days where you can give what? Gifts. You can be merry, have feasting. It's not a solemn feast day. Okay? It's not a serious feast day. All right? It's days of gladness for what it was for Salakia. It's days of gladness for what had happened. We turn in what? The lots back on our enemies' heads. Okay, it's Salakia for that. Me and jumbled up in my words, all right? Verse 20. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar and the 15th day of the same yearly. See that? As the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them for sorrow to joy, and from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another and gifts to the poor. See how beautiful this is? You see? Verse 22 shows you the meaning behind why we keep it. All right? It says, and the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them, because Haman the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of all the Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy them, and had cast pur, that is, the lot, to consume them and to destroy them. Now, see, like I said earlier, pur by itself means lot. A pawar, okay, plural, is what Pawaryam. It means lots. All right. There's a point I want to make in this. If you notice, it says, let me see. Salakia. When it says this, verse 21, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar and the 15th day of the same yearly. Now, this is a high holy day. Once it was established, it was kept yearly forever. Now, all the other nations can make it, because you have people talking about you could be a spiritual Israelite. Like you could just spiritually become an Israelite. Okay. If that's the case, how come all these people are not celebrating the Purim? This is something that's supposed to be kept yearly forever. You see that? This is supposed to be established forever. All right? See? So all these people that's claiming that you can become a Jew, all right, you can become an Israelite spiritually. Well, how come you're not keeping this? You'll say the law is done away with. What? The high holy days are done away with too? All right? Let me see. We go down, keep going. And it says, verse 25, but when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows. Wherefore they called these days Purim, after the name of Pur. Therefore all the words of this letter, and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come unto them, the Jews ordained and took upon them, and upon their seed, and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writing and according to their appointed time every year. Okay, to back up the point we read earlier. And that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, okay, every family, every province, and every city. And that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Jews, nor the memorial of them perish from their seed. That Purim that was established wasn't for everybody at that time. It was just for the Jews, the Israelites. The other nations didn't keep this. This was established for what? The Jews' sake, the Israelites' sake. All right? And we're supposed to keep this forever, from year to year. All right? Verse 29, then Esther the queen, the daughter of Abiel, and Mordecai the Jew, wrote with all authority to confirm this second letter of Purim. And he sent the letters unto all the Jews to the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Ahasuerus with words of peace and truth, to confirm these days of Purim in their times appointed, according as Mordecai the Jew and Esther the queen had enjoined them, and as they had decreed for themselves and for their seed the matters of the fastings in their cry. Verse 32. In the decree of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book. Okay? All right, what book? The holy book. Okay? That's how we know to keep it today. I'm going to go to the next chapter. Okay, Mordecai's greatness, they have it titled. Esther 10 and 1. And the king Ahasuerus laid a tribute upon the land and upon the isles of the sea, and all the acts of his power and of his might, and the declaration of the greatness of Mordecai, whereunto the king advanced him, Are they not written in the book of the chronicles of the kings of Media and Persia? For Mordecai the Jew was next unto King Ahasuerus, and great among the Jews, and accepted of the multitude of his brethren, seeking the wealth of his people and speaking peace to all his seed. All right, now from here, we're going to jump to the Apocrypha, because a lot of people don't know that the Apocrypha has the what? The additions to the book of Esther, the rest of it. You see, chapter 10, we left off at what? Verse 3. This is verse 4, okay, because this one was written in the Greek, all right? Then Mordokius, which is what the Greek way is saying Mordecai, Yahweh have done these things, said, but Yahweh have done these things. For I remember a dream which I saw concerning these matters, and nothing thereof have failed. A little fountain became a river, and there was light, and the sun, and much water. This river is Esther, whom the king married and made queen. Okay, Salakia for that. Verse 7. And the two dragons are I and Ammon, which that's the Greek way of saying Haman. Okay. And the nations were those that were assembled to destroy the name of the Jews. All right. Same thing today that we read in chapter 9. The nations are assembled together to destroy us. Okay. And if you can see this is basically a foreshadowing of things to come. What is the Lord doing? Is he not assembling the nations together in the valley of Jehoshaphat, there to plead for his people Israel? He's going to judge the nations for his people Israel. You can see it right here in verse 8. It says, and the nations were those that were assembled to destroy the name of the Jews. Okay? All right? And that's what they want to do. They want to keep us from being a nation. Okay? It says, verse 9, and my nation is this Israel, which cried to the Most High and were saved. See, only the Israelites cry to Yahweh Shemel Shai and are delivered. Okay? All right? For the Lord have saved his people. See? All right? And you got people talking about they're saved. You're not saved yet. This was a situation. They were coming to destroy us, and the Lord saved us when we cried unto him. The same thing that we're doing now. We're crying unto Yahweh Shemel Shai, and the Lord is going to save his people. Okay, by way of Yahushua, the ones that truly believed. It's the same thing. We're not saved yet. We're hoping to be saved. That's why we have to cry to Yahweh Shemel Shai daily. Okay, it says, "In my nation is this Israel, which cried to the Most High and were saved. For the Lord have saved his people, and the Lord have delivered us from all those evils. And the Most High have wrought signs and great wonders, which have not been done among the Gentiles." See, the Lord is only dealing with the Israelites. Okay? All right? And you got people that don't want the Apocrypha to be a part of the word of the Lord, and you can see why, man. All right? Therefore, have he made two lots, okay? One for the people of God and another for all the Gentiles. And these two lots came at the hour, in time, and day of judgment before God among all nations. Okay, so Yahweh remembered his people and justified his inheritance. Exactly. And guess what? During these times, okay, all right, when it's us against the heathen, the Lord is going to remember his people, the ones that truly follow him, because his people right now, the Israel of the Most High, are the ones that have faith. Remember, the scripture says in Hebrews, the 11th chapter, for without faith, it is impossible to please him. Okay? So we need faith to please him. We need faith in his son, Yahweh Shai, to get in his good gracious for deliverance. Okay? All right? And that's where verse 12 will hit in for us today. So the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, remembered his people and justified his inheritance. Yes, because his people are his inheritance, not the other nations. He owns everything, by the way. He even owns the other nations. But the chosen line, okay, his portion is the Israelites. Verse 13, therefore those days shall be unto them in the month of Dar, the 14th and the 15th day of the same month, with an assembly and joy and with gladness before the Most High, according to the generations forever among his people. See, this was something that's supposed to be kept forever if you're an Israelite. Forever. Okay, so how can everybody be an Israelite, All right, if they're not keeping this, they're supposed to keep this. See, once we woke up to the fact we keep this. Okay, Christians don't keep this. The other nations don't keep this. All right, true Israelites keep this. All right, now I want to go to how do we um keep our high holy days? So we keep our high holy days by way of what? The moon. Okay, and I'm gonna get it. The moon lets us know what day comes in. Okay, and of course, as we read, the Purim comes in on the 14th day and the 15th day. How do we know these days? By way of the moon. Okay, the sun and the moon gives us our time. Okay, the moon specifically for our days. Okay, let's go to Genesis, the first chapter, Genesis 1 and verse and I'll jump down. This was actually created on the fourth day. Okay, Genesis 1 and 14. And Elohim said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth." And it was so. And Elohim made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. He made the other planets also. Okay? That's what the stars are, the other planets. Okay? All right? And Elohim set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. If you were to go far away from the earth, you would see its light because the earth has its own light. Okay, even when you go into outer space and look back on the earth, you can see that glow. How much more so the other planets? From far away, they look like stars. Every now and then you may see they say this planet is coming by and you can see it, yada yada yada. You can see Mercury coming around. What does it look like? Does it not look like a star? It looks exactly like a star. That's what they are. The other planets. Okay? They say stars are balls of gas that blow up every now. That's bullshit. Okay? Esau will tell you that the sun is going to burn out eventually. That's bullshit, man. Okay? All right, stop listening to Esau. Okay? All right, verse 18. And to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And Elohim saw that it was good. In the evening and the morning were the fourth day. So that lets you know that the sun and the moon were created on once the start of the 4,000 years. Okay? All right. But guess what? There was light already on the earth prior to the sun and the moon getting there. And it was set up to what? For us to have for our signs and for seasons and days and years. Now going back to Sirach, the 43rd chapter. All right, let me start at verse 1. The pride of the height, the clear firmament, the beauty of heaven with his glorious shew, the sun when it appeareth, declaring at his rising a marvelous instrument, the work of the Most High. At noon imparteth the country, and who can abide the burning heat thereof? A man blowing a furnace is in works of heat, but the sun burneth the mountains 3 times more, breathing out fiery vapors and sending forth bright beams that dimmeth the eyes. Everything the scriptures are saying is true. All right. Sometimes you're driving on the road and you see that sun and it's blinding. You got to hurry and put the damn shades down. Okay. All right. It says, verse 5, great is the Lord that made it. All right. And at his commandment runneth hastily. See, the sun is moving. Okay. The earth is not revolving around the sun. The sun is moving. You see it? All right. It says, great is the Lord that made it. And at his commandment runneth hastily. Runneth. It's moving. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. All right, and you have some Israelite groups, okay, that say that means that that means that the moon right here, okay, the new moon starts off full. They call the full moon the new moon. Well, when you go to Genesis, the first chapter, did they not call the sun and the moon lights? A greater light to rule the day and a lesser light to rule the night. Now, even when the moon is in its new moon phase, is it not still light? Yes, it's still called a light, regardless. Okay? The Lord said two great lights, one to rule the day and one to rule the night. It's still a light regardless. So that's out of there, man. New means refreshed. It has to start over. Okay? From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above. And it even says it, increasing wonderfully in her changing. Sure, and guess what? The moon, when you look at the moonlight, it goes from right to left. This the same way we write our Hebrew. Right to left, east to west. Okay? Right? It says increasing wonderfully in her changing. See that? So it starts with the new moon, but when people read it too fast, they get confused like that and confounded. All right. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. The beauty of heaven, the glory of the stars, an ornament giving light in the highest places of the Lord. At the commandment of the Holy One, they will stand in their order and never faint in their watches. And you got people saying that these things will eventually blow out. These things they will eventually burn out. You see that? It said the scripture said they would never faint in their watches. Okay. Now I'm gonna go to bear with me. Now I'm gonna go to this. All right. Now this is the calendars that I was telling you about. All right. I normally do it up on the wall, but I found this program to do it on. All right. Now right here. All right. Remember the moon is the month is called after the moon. Okay. Now the new moon came in for the 12th month of Dar, which we're in. The new moon came in when? Saturday evening. All right. And it ends on Sunday evening. What I like to do is draw a line, okay, in the middle of the day representing evening. Because if this is a day, a modern day, I like to start like from the beginning and then as you approaching the end of that day into the next day, right? So right here will be the evening time. At evening, you keep going, eventually you stop because the next evening will be right here. And from that evening on up, the next evening will be right here. You see that? That's why I like to put the line in the middle. It represents evening to evening. Okay, our days start at even. Okay, so the new moon came in. Okay, on Saturday, January the 21st. Okay, so that will be our first day of the month of Dar. So right here, from evening to evening is the first day. Now remember the Purim or the Pawaryam is on the 14th day and the 15th day. So we're going to count it. So you have that right there, Saturday into Sunday. That's why I don't have anything right here because I have it all right here. Saturday to Sunday, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, the 8th day is another Sabbath. Okay, the first day of every month is a Sabbath. The new moon is a Sabbath. Then right here is a Sabbath. Okay, because some people get confused and think it's right here. Remember, this is a Sabbath. Then you count 7 days afterwards. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Every 7 days is a Sabbath. So the first day of the month is a Sabbath. The 8th day of the month is a Sabbath. Okay. Now we're going to move into February. Okay. Okay. So the 8th day of our lunar month, all right, which right there, Saturday evening to Sunday evening. Moving forward, 9th day, 10th day, 11th day, 12th day, 13th day, 14th day. Okay. So the 14th day at even will be Friday evening. That's the start of the Purim. As you see, I have it here, Pawaryam. And that's how you would say it in the Lashwan Kodash. Pawaryam. Pawaryam. Okay. So it starts on the 14th day of our lunar month at evening, which will be Friday the 3rd at evening. And remember, it goes from the 14th day through the 15th day of the 12th month. So I have it here, the 14th day, Friday to Saturday. 15th day will be Saturday to Sunday. Okay. And it ends just before Sunday evening. Okay. All right. And see, it's just that simple. That's how you keep track of our lunar calendar. The Lord is very simple. Okay. But you have to have ears to hear. If the Lord gave it to you, you have to have ears to hear. Because a lot of people don't believe this. They believe the Sabbath is every Friday to Saturday. Well, that wouldn't line up with the new moon because it always changes. Okay. They think all these different things, but it's really simple if you just take the time to humble yourself and pray to Yahweh Hashem Shai for understanding. All right. So again, the Pawaryam for 2023 is going to start at Friday evening, the 3rd, and it ends Sunday evening. All right, on the 5th of February. Okay. With that, call Haloyim, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakal Quadash, and as always to the elect, a double shalom.